It is so sad to see the rhetoric of politicians who oppose one another. How often they say things without considering whether what they're saying is true, honest, or even fair. You know, bigotry is blind. Welcome to Getting to Know Jesus. I'm Glenn Koppel, Minister of the Word. This week's video comes from Lesson 56, which is found in Getting to Know Jesus, Volume 5. If you want to follow along in your Bible, we're in Matthew chapter 9, verses 32 through 34. While they were going out, a man who was demon-possessed and could not talk was brought to Jesus. And when the demon was driven out, the man who had been mute spoke. And the crowd was amazed and said, "Nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees said, "It's by the prince of demons that he drives out demons." Bigotry is blind. It has been said that you should never talk about religion or politics. A large part of the reason is because most of the people are unwilling to be open-minded about those subjects. Well, I believe what I believe and you disagree with me, you're wrong. Instead, they attack the other person's viewpoint. Actually, they often attack the other person with words of hatred and blind bigotry and fierce opposition. I've even listened to comments just this past few days that were absolute bold lies about the other people that disagree with this person's point of view. Unfortunately, it goes on both sides of the political aisle. And it happens in churches also. There was a time when I would disagree or condemn other denominations that followed the same Jesus that I followed, because I didn't realize that when we get to heaven, we're all going to be in the same place. And God's not going to ask us about all these little doctrines that we sometimes badmouth and say bad things about other denominations. He's only going to ask us about Jesus. That's why I've tried to make Getting to Know Jesus as non-denominational as possible. But you know, sometimes the words that we use in talking about other people aren't the kind of words Jesus would use. Even Jesus was subjected to bigotry. I mean, here the Pharisees are so opposed to him that no matter what he says, they will not say anything good about him. They will even try to deny the good things that he is doing and make a false accusation in the hopes of getting others to hate him instead of following the Son of God. In their fear that Jesus is disturbing their status quo, they go on the attack, and in their sin and their selfishness, they say things about Jesus that are untrue and they cannot prove. How many things have I heard said by this person or that person against that person or that party or that church or that other individual that you know they could not prove it if they had to go to court and do so? How many times do husbands and wives get into an argument with each other and the one will say something to or about the other person that they couldn't prove if they had to? And yet they'll get all their emotions talked up and they'll get all their hatred boiling on each other. The person they've promised to love, honor, and cherish. What kind of a person are you? Do you say hateful things about others without considering whether your words are true or fair? Or do you consider what you're about to say and modify and clarify your comments to be respectful and truthful and reflective of Jesus Christ in your life? We can disagree with one another's views and express our differences in love. We can agree to disagree on some things. I mean, Jesus is a Christ, the Son of God. If you want to go to heaven, you're going to agree on that. If you disagree with that, you have the right to disagree, but you're not going to go to heaven if you don't believe that Jesus is a Christ, the Son of God. You can argue with me about all sorts of other little doctrines that your church believes and my church believes, but if we don't believe that Jesus is, we're not going to heaven. And if we go into attacking one another and say, well, you're going to hell because, or you believe this or you believe that, and try to tear down the other person's integrity and reputation, That's not acting like Jesus Christ. We don't have to attack and say false and hateful things. To do so would not be what Jesus would do. Don't be like the Pharisees. Don't allow bigotry to blind you from being loving, respectful, truthful in what you say, even to people with whom you disagree. If you must speak against the other person's viewpoint, be honest, be Christ-loving, be fair in what you say, and make sure that what you say is something that you could absolutely establish if you had to go to court. Don't be a bigot. To keep up with what is happening, follow Glenn Koppel, GMC for Jesus, or Getting to Know Jesus on Plaxo, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and check out our other videos on YouTube.